the ETs that they're working with, and they're monitoring the radiation from the above-ground testing that was done in the 50s and 60s.
Now, some of the people that have been abducted, like children and stuff, now, are they, I wonder if they're actually being abducted by, aliens, or they're being abducted by our government and black ops to be, inducted into something.
Both. You've got both out there. About 20% are ETs, but the majority are the government through DOD, NSA, CIA. And the CIA is responsible for all of the mind fractures. That's their job.
So, so they basically want you nothing more than, get this right, they totally take your memory, they take everything, and they basically have you do what they're bidding.
Yeah. You're basically a human robot that does what they tell you to. And you have no say in the matter.
Now, has there been people that in this program that actually all of a sudden started remembering something and protested or anything? Did you remember any children or any of that it all of a sudden, protested, and what happened to them if they did?
For people to remember is really rare. Their mind wipe tech works really well. I only remember because this agent decided to activate it, and I have no idea what his motivation was.
Maybe to monitor you.
He didn't need to wake me up to monitor me, but he was in the NSA, and he was in the division that did Russian translations, and he and his best friend were both in that division, and they were both killed by the CIA after I came public. So there's some sort of a faction war going on that you can see the evidence of it, but I haven't been able to figure out exactly what's going on. After they were killed, about a year later, this other woman showed up in my life and said, "Hi, I'm assigned to monitor you." And I'm like, oh, gee.
Oh, wow. Have you been fearful, Penny, with your life over at this? Because you do conferences and you speak up about it. I was looking at some of your YouTube, and on some of your other interviews on, YouTube on some radio stations. Have you been fearful for your life coming forward on this?
Yes. That was why I came forward, was because they were trying to kill me.
Have you, since you...
There's this theory among we who speak that you can hide, and then if they succeed in killing you, then nobody knows why. You're just a nobody. Or you can hide in the light, where that if there is a flashlight on you, it makes it a whole lot harder for the cockroaches to come kill you.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's true.
And that's the approach I took. I've been listening to whistleblowers my whole life. I mean, look what happened to Bill Cooper. He was brutally murdered on his front yard, unarmed, accused of being a terrorist. Then we've had Max Spears was poisoned. God knows who did it, but I would trace it back to one of those three, DOD, NSA, or CIA. No matter who the individual was that did it, that's who did it. Max Spears was in my Facebook group when he was killed. William Whitecrow was sitting in his living room. He was scheduled to do a radio interview with friends of mine, And they couldn't get him on the phone. His family was out for the day, and when everybody came home, he was dead. He wasn't expecting to be dead, and he was 2 years older than I am. So he was one of the last ones of my generation. And I've watched NSA agents that worked with me be killed. One was shot with something that induced a stroke, and the other one had air pumped into his IV in the hospital. So it's dangerous to be this.
It is.
I didn't choose this. I don't know why he activated my memory. But now that I remember these things, and I remember them vividly, they are just as real, or if not more so, than my memories of my Earth life. And these are atrocities that need to be addressed.
Well, I think they do. You know, back in the early 90s, it was a whole bunch of, scientists that kind of gave up on certain things. This is regarding like on UFO matters. And they worked at Area 51, a couple of the scientists. And one of them, had a heart attack. One of them a week later got killed in a car accident. Then another one got shot somewhere. And then another one, like a week later, got killed. Now, what's the odds are 4 or 5 scientists, dying in a short period of time? It seems like in different organizations, when it has anything to do with ET or black ops or anything like that, I mean, the life expectancy normally is not very long if you stray out of the group.
Well, if you look into some of the stuff that's been released about Area 51, they have this big garbage pit where they burn chemicals that are known to cause cancer, and they send the scientists out to do the burning.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to give them cancer and get rid of them.
Well, if you want to get rid of somebody when their useful lifespan is done, that's a pretty efficient way to go about it.
Yeah. Now, you also mentioned, too, like you were shot with some type of a weapon that hurts. Yeah.
Energy weapons. I've been shot 3 times with Zeus. That's a directed energy weapon, and that is tall white tech. Some of your listeners will know what tall whites are. And I've been shot with lasers twice, and with masers. That's a microwave beam. The rest of the time, 5 times. And knock on wood, it's been almost a year since the last time.
Well, when it happened a year ago, or almost a year ago, where did it happen at?
In my house. They had put a device in the wall. They had wired it into the circuit breaker in the wall. And since it's a rental, we didn't know what to do, whether to remove it and possibly start a fire or what. So we just put up a barrier. One thing people should know, energy weapons can be stopped by metal. There's some sort of a microwave weapon that they were using in Afghanistan that they had to bring it home and stop using it. So now they're using it for crowd control in America. They had to stop using it because the Afghani Taliban figured out they could wrap themselves in aluminum foil and it wouldn't hurt them. So we put several layers of extra thick aluminum foil on the back of a piece of paneling and just stuck it up against the wall. And that blocked the maser. So there's some nut somewhere trying to control this thing and wondering why I'm not dead.
Yeah. Well, like I was mentioning before the show, I've actually had a couple ex-CIA agents on my show for the last 2 years, a couple people with the DOD. But, I was informed, I didn't even know that till we were talking. They have a device where they can just park right out in front of your house across the street and just aim it at you, and you keel over dead with a heart attack.
Uh-huh. My electric pole that's like 20 feet from where I'm sitting right now has this gold-colored antenna on it that's aimed right at my computer where I sit 8 hours a day. And we watched the guy installing it, and he says, "Oh yeah, that's so that whenever we think there's going to be a fire, we can turn off the electricity." This is PG&E, by the way. And I'm in Central California, so it's PG&E. And we're going, so they can turn off the electricity, and then all these smart meters, whenever they get turned back on, 1 out of 5 of them catches fire. All right. And the guy goes, "Yeah, I know." I'm like,
Well, you know what? Really,
whenever the lineman that's doing the work agrees with you, there's something wrong.
Very much so. But you know what really scares me, too, is smart TVs, smart appliances in your house. They can actually, interesting, I had this one gentleman on my show, ex-CIA, and it's interesting some of the stuff he was talking about. For example, like your smart TV, if they are monitoring you, they can tune in and listen to what you or what your family or whoever's with you is talking about. Back in
the 80s, when we went to solid state instead of tubes, people then were saying there's a camera and a mic inside, because we were used to taking them apart and cleaning the tubes. So we saw what they were, and it was, whoa. Most people uninstalled them, took them out. But a lot of people were like, "Oh, no, you're crazy." Right. They've been listening to us since the 80s.
Well, that's, it's scary because he was sitting there with his wife and he was talking about he wanted to buy this special bike. And it was a special bike that, is handmade. Only a few places carry it. Okay. Now, he was sitting there, in the living room talking to his wife. And he said, "Well, let's go out and look for one tomorrow." You know what happened the next day? He has a cell phone going on. And all of a sudden, he said he did not Google it. He didn't check on the internet, know nothing about it. But all of a sudden, it was popping up on his phone.
I don't have a cell phone. Just don't. But my partner and I will be discussing things, and I'll have Facebook on my computer. And it will start showing me ads for things we're talking about.
Now, isn't that scary? I'm glad you brought that up because I have seen that repeatedly.
So, yeah, there's a whole spectrum, and watch out for 5G, because 5G is microwave radiation at a level that people have not evolved to deal with, and it will be beamed at us from satellites. There will be no escape unless you live inside a Faraday cage.
I know that's really scary on that too, and that unfortunately, our government is really for it, and I am dead against it because a lot of reading I did on it. I mean, besides, it can cause a lot of emotional problems, health issues, all kinds of things. Again, because the frequency of it is going to interfere with your functions.
Have you looked into a thing called synthetic telepathy?
No, I have not.
You should, because it's based on a microwave carrier. Microwave or Wi-Fi.